In this presentation, we will work a problem related to the setting of a sales price using the total cost method. We're going to have our information up top. We're going to enter that information into tables down below, in essence formatting our own table from scratch down below. If you would rather work with pre-formatted worksheets, we have those as well. Either way, we recommend taking that whatever problem you are working on, putting that information up in the top of your worksheet in a format that we have text, and then we have the numbers in their own cells, so that we can use cell references in order to refer to them. So here's the data that we have. We've got the material per unit, the 109, the direct labor per unit, 39, the overhead per unit is going to be 54, the fixed overhead, the 653,000, fixed selling and admin, 110,000, and units forecasted to produce, how many we think we're going to produce, 10,900. The selling price, using the cost markup method, we want to mark up the total cost by 10%. That's how we're going to set the sales price. So in other words, we're going to figure out the total cost within the sales price. Once we have that, we'll mark it up by 10%. That's what we're going to sell them for. To do that, however, note that we're dealing with both variable and fixed portions, and the fixed portion of the sales price is something that we're going to have to allocate to the units. And it's going to differ depending on how many units we produce. We're going to base it on this 10,900 because that's how many units we believe we're going to basically produce based on this data. So that's going to be the problem, or the issue with this type of method, is that we're coming up with a total unit cost, which has fixed and variable components to it, and therefore is not something that can change with the level of production accurately. Okay, so let's set up our information. We're going to say the total costs. Let's figure out what our total costs will be. So we're going to say material per unit, and we'll set up the per unit numbers for the variable portions times the number of units we'll produce to get the total, and then we'll put the fixed unit numbers in as well. So the material per unit, we're going to say, is going to be this 109, and then we're going to say the direct labor per unit, we know is going to be equal to the 39, and then the overhead per unit, variable portion because it's per unit, is the 54. The fixed portion is here. Now we know the number of units we're going to make, and that's going to be equal to the 10,009. I'm going to put that in each of these cells below using formulas, and then we'll just multiply that out. So we're going to say this equals the 109 times the 10,009. That's going to be our material per unit. This is going to equal the 39 times the 10,009, and this is going to be equal to the 54 times the 10,009, and then there we have our data. Now the fixed portion, we're just going to put in the outer column because it doesn't matter how much the cost was. So the fixed portion, we're going to say this is equal to fixed overhead, and I'm going to go ahead and copy that down. We'll auto-fill that down. There we have that. So the fixed numbers are going to be equal to the 653,000 and the 110,000. So there we have our fixed portion for the total cost, which is going to be the sum of these items. So we'll sum that up. There's our total cost. I'm going to go ahead and go to the Home tab. We're going to underline that. We'll do a little bit of formatting here. We'll highlight or select from A12 to D17, Home tab, font. We're going to go to the paint box and more colors. We'll make that on the standard. We'll make that blue. And then we'll go to the Home tab, font. We'll go to the borders drop down, all borders. Then I'm going to select the title. We're going to go to the Home tab, font. We'll make this black and white. So that we have that information. Okay, then we can double underline this last one too by going to the Home tab, font, and double underline. Okay, so then we're going to have the selling price. So now that we have our total cost, we can calculate the selling price based on it. So we're going to say, all right, the total cost is equal to that. And so here's our total cost. And now we're just going to take our number of units. This is the number of units, or unit, let's just say, call it number of units that we're going to produce, and that's going to be the 10,009. So the cost per unit is going to be the total cost divided by the number of units, and that includes both the variable and fixed portion. So that's the cost per unit. We can do some formatting here. We can go ahead and underline this. And then we're going to say, okay, the markup is going to be a 10% markup, right? So I'm going to do that with one calculation. I'm going to say this equals the 272 times 0.1, 10%, $27 is our markup. So the selling price is then going to be equal to the sum of these two items, the 272 and the 27. So we got the 299. So there we have it. So again, and you can calculate that markup a couple different ways. I mean, the point is, of course, that this is our per unit number, 272. We're going to mark it up 10% times 0.1. We're going to mark it 27.2. Notice we took out the decimals here, so it's not rounded perfectly. It's really that. So so we're going to have the 272 times the 0.1, 27.2 plus the 272. Or you can calculate it as 272 times 1.1, or 110%, 1.10, 110%, 100 plus 10%. And that'll give us your same bottom line number, the 299.20. So that's going to be our price based on this information. Again, there's pros and cons to this method. Notice that this number, the problem is that this number includes variable and fixed portions. Therefore, if we produce more or less units than the 10,009, this total cost number will not be accurate. So it'll change with the level of production due to the fact that we have those fixed portion, those fixed costs included in it that we had to apply to it. Okay, let's go ahead and format this. We're going to select from A20 to B24. Home tab font, we're going to go to the painter, make that blue. Home tab font, we're going to border it. We'll select the top item. Home tab font, we're going to make this black and white. And there we have it.